Hey, honeys, I want to start off this podcast episode just by being really real because I think that's what's required for me to get into the episode, which is just, oh my gosh, I haven't made content maybe in about a week, which is a very short amount of time. And sometimes I just go through these periods where I don't make content for a period of time, even if it's as short as like a week. And then it's just so hard for me to get back into it. Like somehow this blue is like reflecting off my screen. Um, oh, my microphone is blinding me. Um, and it's just really hard for me to get back into it. And I find myself feeling really stuck. And then what I find is that then when I try to override that, it becomes harder and harder. And, this is something actually that came up in my mastermind. We do 2 hot seat coaching calls a month, and not the last one we had, but the one before. I'm pretty sure this came up in one of the hot seats. One of the women was sharing how she was, she's been making content about joy, but she's been struggling sometimes because, which was one of her basically like homework assignments that just related to her very specifically. Sometimes she feels blocked because she's not feeling that joy. And, what I said to her is like, but that's what, that's the thing that you need to share about because that's what's up. That's what's obvious. And that's always the thing, when you're feeling blocked in creating content or sharing, it's always because there's something that you're trying to go over the top of that actually you need, like, that's the alive thing, but you're trying to push it aside because you don't think it's valid. And so it's like, okay, I need to push that aside and get rid of that. And then I can get into the things I should be talking about. But if you're ever finding that you're trying to do that and then you're just stuck and you can't seem to come out with anything, that's because the thing you're pushing aside is the thing that's alive that you need to talk about. Like that's what you need to go through. That is the thing. Stop trying to get past that thing because that is the thing and you're just like rejecting it because you don't think it's valid. And that's what I feel like at the moment. This morning I tried, well, not I tried, I actually did record some real videos and now I'm getting back into my podcast. And I was just trying to start this podcast, and usually when I record a podcast, I just hit record, I go, that's it, the whole thing's done. And I just had a start and I was like, I'm not feeling connected to that. I'm not feeling connected to the thing that I'm wanting to talk about in this episode. And so then I tried to start again with a different topic and I was like, it feels like I'm not being open and I'm not being real. And I'm like just trying to talk about something when that's not what I'm feeling, if that makes sense. I know that sounds a little abstract. And what I know in when that is happening is because I'm not being really open to what's authentically alive in me. And I'm trying to go past it and speak about something, and give some kind of value. When really the thing I need to speak about is what I'm trying to go over the top of and get past and get, push aside so that I can share about my topic. So that's what I'm feeling right now. I think what's blocking me with content right now, so I haven't created content in about a week. I have been in a little bit of a recovery mode. I don't know if recovery is really the right word, but I published my book about 6 weeks ago now. And then I had a couple more weeks of travel in Australia, landing back in Bali, looking for another place. And, at some point my energy just dropped and I just needed to stop. And I hadn't stopped in a long time. I mean, I did have some downtime the week after launching my book, but that was not really enough, especially when I then traveled back to my family for Christmas, came back to Bali, had New Year's celebrations, looking for a place. And I just hadn't had enough downtime. So I have let myself really stop and take my time and not push myself into the next thing. I'm moving in a week, so although I've been stopping and slowing down, I still don't feel settled. And you don't need to feel settled to create. You don't need to feel anything to create. You don't need to be anything, which is why I'm showing up here and recording this podcast. And as I'm recording it, my brain is going, Alex, this doesn't have enough structure. People are going to find this boring. Everyone's going to have shut off this already. Now I'm okay. So, but this is what I wanted to get to next, actually. So I've just started. Oh my God, this is something that's been on my to-do list that I've had as like an intuitive action bridge for years, actually, is to put my podcast on YouTube. And I filmed a whole bunch of my podcasts literally like 4 years ago to put on YouTube. Never put them on YouTube. Was just kind of waiting for when I had enough time or I could get my assistant onto that. Over the last 2 years, I've gotten various assistants to start doing the setup for it, but it's been less like mammoth task because my podcast has like 150 episodes. And so some of them have video, some of them don't. And just to get them all to have some, even if it's just a still thing, to have some be connected with something. So it's a video file, so it can be uploaded to YouTube. I've gotten different assistants to do various moving forward on that and just kind of keep coming up with like, oh, it's not a priority. It's like a back burner project to chip away at. And you know what? I just called myself out on it last week, I guess. Last week. Yeah. So exactly a week ago today, I released my first vlog, my first ever vlog. I've been wanting to vlog for so many years. I finally released a vlog. And I was like, you know what? How about I just start publishing my podcast on YouTube from now? And I just do not worry about back burner, getting all those things uploaded. Like that was all a fucking runaround, bullshit runaround. I do not need to do any of that. I can just start uploading it from now. So I think it was Friday last week, I uploaded one of my recent podcast episodes to YouTube. So what I'm recognizing right now is I have sort of just put all of these like content expectations on myself, which has created a bunch of pressure, which is then making me feel like I need to perform rather than just speak from my heart. And as soon as I sort of unconsciously move into this state of like trying to make myself follow a structure and like I need to perform and it needs to be at this certain level or whatever, I go into feeling like I need to perform and that I can't just speak from my heart. And once that happens, for me personally, that triggers, I just get locked up and I just feel like I have nothing to say and I go blank and I get started and then I stop and then it's not good enough. And that's what was just starting to happen as I was just trying to start recording this podcast, and I could feel the anxiousness and the fear in me of like, oh, I'm not going to do it. And I said I was going to do it and like, I can't get myself to do it. And all this bullshit, honestly, like it's just going into my identity. Actually, the podcast that I'll tell you the two topics I was going to record a podcast on. Maybe this is just a flush out podcast I need. So For you guys that just love like fight or just find it really helpful hearing my process and hearing me just be a human and what my, created experience is behind the scenes, then welcome to this podcast. I'm recording it for you. For anyone that just wants like really structured episodes, I'm just doing less of them, honestly. Maybe this podcast isn't for you anymore, or just maybe this episode specifically isn't for you. Yeah, I just need to I think that I just need to talk this out. I think it's just gonna be a talking it out episode. Um, I something that I realized actually both times I went on the soul safari with one of my mentors, my main mentor, William Whitecloud, was, how my part of my real genius is how I'm able to break down my experiences and what the forces are at play in my consciousness and how that compels my behavior and the end results it creates. And then I can also, see that so clearly for other people. And it's definitely part of my real genius and gift is just understanding consciousness and seeing exactly what's going on for someone, exactly like the underlying root thing that they're getting stuck on and fucked up about, and also what they really want to be doing, what their true nature and purpose is, where their real energy is. And yeah, and on these safaris, I really recognized how part of my greatness and genius and how I'm here to share what I'm here to share is to really unpack my own experiences. And that's how I know so much of my audience like learn so much about themselves for themselves through the reflection of hearing my process. And also, also like seeing a raw behind the scenes process helps you also see what it's like for everyone. And I don't know, maybe I do have more issues than other people, but what it's like for everyone, and that if you are feeling stuck, fucked up, blocked about things in your head, whatever, there's nothing wrong with you. And do you know what that gives you and what that means is that there's no way you need to change or nothing you need to get rid of in yourself before you can be powerful. You can be powerful now. You can create your dream business now. You can be an authority now. You can be creating massive impact in the world now. You don't have to figure out how to get over any of those things first. All you need to know is how you pass through them and stop having them be something that stops you. One of the posts that I was going to write today, because I also wanted to write some content, I put too much expectations on myself for today, but at least I'm recording this podcast and I'm actually going to feel brilliant by the end of today because I've followed through on this podcast. It is so key that you follow through on the things that are true for you, even if you do them messy or whatever, because that sends your subconscious the message that you follow through and you do what you say you're going to do. And so then you take your words seriously, and anything you say you're going to do, you're committed to. When you always tell yourself you're going to do things and you never do those things, you yourself know you're not committed to your word. And so then you get anxiety because you don't know whether you're going to follow through on it or not, because you don't just follow through on the things you say you're going to do. It is one of the most powerful things you can do for your subconscious to simply just follow through on the things you say you're going to do. And something very useful with that is don't say you're going to do 10 things today, because that's not helpful. That's actually dysfunctional. But that you know what's important. You have the ability to determine what's important and follow through on that. And you don't do the dysfunctional thing, telling yourself you're going to do a million things to do. I feel like I've started about 5 threads right now that I need to tie up, but I want to tie this one up first before we go back to the rest of the threads that I just started. So I studied, I'm just trying to think how many years ago. I don't know, maybe in the realm of 7 or 8 years ago, I used to do these tantric yoga courses, and they were of the session was philosophy, and then part of it was pranayama, and then part of it was asana. So philosophy, breath work, and the physical yoga practice as well. And one of the courses that I did, we learned about the yamas and the niyamas, which is essentially like the code of living for yogis, whatever yogic tradition you're in, right? And there actually is like a hierarchy and an order to them. And the top two, some yogis put one of them at the top and the other one second, and some of them do the other way around. But Satya, which I think that's truth. Actually, I don't remember what the other one's called anymore. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Satya is truth. That was the one that really like hit me. So some yogis say this one is number one. Some say the other one, I don't remember what it's called in Sanskrit, but it is nonviolence is the second one. And so truth is that you have integrity with your word and with your truth. You speak the truth, but it's not just speaking the truth. It's like you align yourself with the truth. You follow through on the truth. And so for each of the yamas and the niyamas, in the way that I learned it, if you were to follow that code, that yama or niyama perfectly, there's a certain superpower that you would get. And so for the truth, Satya, if you follow that perfectly, the superpower, according to, at least the lineage of tantric yoga that I was learning this through, the superpower that you get is that anything you speak manifests. And I remember that really like jumped out at me, and I understand that now more than I ever did then, because if you follow through on everything, well, two things, everything that is true for you. So like, not what you feel like, not what feels good, but what is true and aligned. And, my work is in very large part teaching women how to know what that is, how to know what your truth is, and how to differentiate between fear and, fear is compelling you to seek validation, seek safety, seek approval, seek belonging, how to distinguish between that and your truth. Because if you live in alignment with your truth, you're living in alignment with your higher self, your true nature, and also with the flow essentially of the universe, let's say. So if you follow through on it perfectly, like you're living in alignment with your truth, your true self, your true nature. But also, if you're following through on everything that you need to do and you say you're going to do, then everything that you speak will manifest, which it will, because if you do everything you say you're going to do, it will manifest. The reason things don't manifest is because there's something we're avoiding. Like, and you've probably had, if you think about last year, actually, usually we forget them really quickly. So maybe you won't necessarily think about it just from this, but, if you think about all of like the creative ideas that you had to follow through on, and like, those lit up inspirational things like, oh, I'd love to start this or do a course on this, or I've got this amazing idea. Did you follow through on all of those things? I'm going to guess probably not. Did you start an exercise plan that you just stopped? You didn't go through like an acknowledgement process of like, oh, this actually isn't my truth, so I'm going to complete this and I'm not going to continue with it, and this is what's actually true for me? Or you just stopped? Were there health things that you said you were going to do that you didn't do? all of that erodes your, or like it erodes your self-trust and it erodes your self-belief, and it sends your subconscious the message that your word doesn't mean anything. And so your subconscious isn't going to hold you to it. But if you hold yourself to your word, like the stronger and more religiously and more powerfully you hold yourself to your word and to your truth, the more powerful you will become at creating whatever it is that you truly want to create. Like in one part, because you're actually following through on those things, but also what's even more powerful than that, or just as powerful, is that it sends your subconscious the message that you follow through on what you say you're going to do. And so whenever you say you're going to do something, you just do it. You just do it. It's not a negotiation. It's not a negotiation. Do you know how I finally wrote and published my book? I got the vision one morning when I was doing my morning practice of having a book launch in Melbourne in December, and linking that up with going back to Australia for Christmas to spend with my family in South Australia, which is not in Melbourne for anyone that's not in Australia. I have a lot of people ask me where I'm from in Australia. I'm from the country. I'm not from a city. So usually, and no one knows basically anywhere outside of a city in Australia unless you're from Australia. And so I usually say to people, I'm from South Australia, and people think I'm just giving like a general broad location and there must be a city there. I'm not from a city. Like people don't seem to be able to like comprehend that. I'm not really sure how, but I'm not from a city, and there is a state in Australia called South Australia. And where I am from is in that state called South Australia. Melbourne is not in that state. It's in a different state. Just in case you're wondering, bit of Australian geography. But I knew I would want to go back to South Australia to the farm for Christmas. And I used to live in Melbourne for a period of time, and I have friends and, and also a bit of a broader community in Melbourne, even though I haven't lived there for quite a while. It felt like the place. If I'm going to have a book launch somewhere, Melbourne would be the only place I would do it. So I had this vision. Do you know the reason I now have a book is because I immediately acted on that. And I set up the event. I told everyone about it. I sold tickets to it. And then I wrote my book in the space of, I don't know, like I wrote, published, and had the book launch in the space for 3 months. And so that's the kind of thing that happens when you follow through. Things happen. And something, William, who's, as I mentioned, one of my main mentors, both in terms of just what I've learned from him, it's structures of frameworks of understanding consciousness and yourself and your true nature and purpose and living in alignment with that. And also as my actual coach that supports me in my process with that. And so one of the things that he has said to me, what was I going to say? Oh, yes, you never know the payoff of something that's true for you to do until you do it. You don't know the payoff. And so that's why you just have to do everything that's true. And people often delay the things that they know are true for them to do. They've got it through intuitive processes. They've had the inspiration. They just know they've got this burning desire to like write a book or create a program or start this certain business or live in this certain place. But you don't see you don't know what that's going to open up and give you until you do it. And so when you have, what feels like a whole bunch of other like pressing important things, like I know for me for a long time, it's like, oh, but can't really, well, no, I did try to write my book earlier and I failed. But I also was confronted over the 2 years basically where I was meant to be writing this book and I didn't. Or I did attempt to a couple of times. If you wanna hear more about my unpacking my process with that and why, read my book, Be Unacceptable, Dare to Live the Life You're Meant For. But, something like that, you don't know what that's going to open up and give you until you do it. And so it seems like not a priority when you have these other pressing priorities. Like for me, I'd be like, oh, but I've got to launch this program next, and then this program and this program. And it just all like takes a lot of my time and energy. And I just, like they're things I have to do to keep my business moving and, like take care of the financial health of my business. And so like I just can't put time into a book until, I don't know, some arbitrary point in the future. But that's how you'll never move to your next level. You never will, because you're not actually following through on the things that are true for you. And you don't you got to do the things that you don't know what the payoff or the reward is going to be, because you can't know until you do it. So you don't know what you're missing out on. This is the thing with the things that are your true nature and purpose. If you've done any of my earlier programs, if you've done any of my things where we do your land of plenty or the land of your heart, and you connect with, this is what I'm here for, right? And you formulate a clear vision from those things. This is what I'm here for. But you don't do those things yet because you're like, oh, but I don't see how that's going to pay the bills. So I just better focus on this other stuff first. Or I don't see, I need to take care of my needs. But then you don't know what you're missing out on. And you're missing out on the true magic, expansion and growth that you could be having, because that's what those things are all the breadcrumbs for. Something that I to open another thread that I talk about a bit. That's one of the things I got from the safaris in Africa that I did with William, is this understanding, or this, it's really a premise to live by, that your true nature and purpose is your most viable mode of operating. But we believe it's not viable, and we have to go and take care of other things first. And then when we have leftover time and energy, we can do the things we love. Whereas if we stopped compensating and we just did what was in our heart, that doesn't mean don't have a bridge job to support that while you build that as a business, if that's something that you're desiring to do. But the more that you're just true to yourself and what you really want to do and what you really want to offer and what is just, what is just in your heart and soul to share and do, the more viable your life will become, the more financially viable everything that is in your true nature will become. But while you're thinking, no, I need to go and do this to be financially viable, I can just, put a little trickle of energy into my true nature, you'll never actually experience the true viability of when you fully embrace yourself and what you have to offer and how you have to offer it. And what you have to do is just follow through on those breadcrumbs. You gotta just get devoted to the breadcrumbs. You just gotta honestly get on your knees and fucking eat those breadcrumbs off the ground so that you can get the next breadcrumb and the next breadcrumb, because that is leading you to your holy grail, to your land of plenty, to everything that you're meant to have and experience in life. But it's not a lit up runway. You don't know how the full thing is going to come together. You don't know what you're missing out on by avoiding some of the things that you're just avoiding right now because you can't see how it's important because you need to pay the bills. You got to be following through on those things. Yes, pay the bills. Do not put yourself under financial pressure and stress that you're like your gifts should be supporting you before you've actually set up a structure where that happens. What I'm saying is support yourself to do that. Support yourself to get on the fucking ground and eat your breadcrumbs. Get on your knees and eat those breadcrumbs. Die to the image you're trying to uphold. Die to having your life figured out. Die to having the safety and security you believe that you should have. Because your true like fulfillment and power and just like, what you're here to do, what you're here to live, what you're here to experience is found by religiously eating those breadcrumbs, following through on your truth without knowing what the reward or payoff is going to be. I can't quite recall right now the other threads I opened before that, but follow through. It is a really big it's really key. It's really key that you just follow through because of the message that sends your subconscious. And then like the more that you build that self-trust and you build the momentum and you build the experience of following through, like having something generated from that, having success from that, the more that just creates momentum for you to continue. And the more that you will then get inspiration, get ideas to keep moving forward with. And then it just builds in momentum. It's generative. So that's one point for the podcast. Don't remember what I was really talking about before that. I know that I was talking about going through the thing that's alive and not over the top of it. Something that I'm noticing right now as I'm recording this episode is that the fact that I'm now uploading these onto YouTube and I'm recording the video for them on my computer, but more so like that I'm uploading them to YouTube, is that I notice how, when I'm just thinking about, oh yeah, I'm just going to record a podcast for my podcast listeners, I'm really comfortable just being myself and just sharing what I want to share and just letting it come how it comes. But now that I'm uploading my podcast onto YouTube, I've got this whole awareness around like, okay, well, YouTube is going to be testing, showing my videos to new audiences. You have to like grab an audience within this long in order for people to keep paying attention to you. And otherwise people, are not going to, like, they're just going to click off. No one's going to watch the podcast. And then that's starting to be, then that just kind of unconsciously, that's when my focus starts going. And I'm like, oh, okay, I've got to be a certain way in order for people to like pay attention to me. And also like just some even unconscious idea that I need people to pay attention to me. And like, oh, I've got, don't even say at the beginning, welcome to this podcast episode, because that's using up too many seconds at the beginning of a video on YouTube. And then people that don't know me are coming onto it. And if I don't get straight into the thing and I'm not immediately engaging and I like ramble a bit like I did at the start of this episode, then like, oh my God, like no one's going to listen. They're all going to click off. No one's, like my channel will just go into the recesses of the internet and die. And no one is going to listen to my podcast because I didn't do the right thing that would grab and maintain attention. And this is what most predominantly fucks women up creating content in general, like even on Instagram, right? It's like, oh, I've got to do it a certain way. I've got to be immediately engaging. I've got to be like this. I've got to be like this, be like this, be like this. Don't be like this. Don't be like this. Don't. If you get it wrong, you're fucked. If you get it wrong, no one's going to like see any of your stuff or be interested or be able to receive anything that you are sharing through your content. And that's exactly what was just happening to me as I was like, I've just decided to put these on YouTube and, and so then I just unconsciously we went into like, oh, okay, well, it's got to be a certain way. And if I'm not this way, then I'm going to get it wrong. So then I go into a performance mode and then nothing comes out in performance mode. And I'm not connected to it. And I've got anxiety in my chest and everything feels wrong. And, and it's like this completely painful experience. And I don't want to create content like that. And that's not my kind of content to create. That's not authentic for me to create. What I need to do in my content is speak from my heart. Everyone can have their own way to do content. For me, it flows and it works when I speak from my heart, which was why after I had 2 false starts where I just like started to record a podcast episode and then I deleted it, I was like, no, I've got to stop. My structure is wrong. I'm coming at this wrong and I need to just speak to what's like the thing that's actually there, and name that. Like that is my way through. That's the only way through. Anything else would be performative and would be detached, and like it would be okay. Don't get me wrong. It'd be okay. But it wouldn't be like great. It wouldn't be like hitting you in the heart. It wouldn't be like having the resonance and the, oh my God, yeah, like I see myself in that, because it would be like me giving a dry lecture or training, which again, it's not bad, but it's not got the energy. It's not got the aliveness. It's not got like my essence and energy in it. And so it's actually not giving a transmission. It's like, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but like you could consume someone's content and they're saying all the right things, but you're just not getting the transmission from it. You're not feeling it. And it's like, it's not engaging because of that. And not only is it not engaging, it's not actually like moving you. And I feel like when I speak from my heart and I create content from like, my authenticity, from my heart, it is a transmission and it truly like illuminates things for people and helps shift someone's state from like maybe being unconscious of something or having their energy low key, like turned off or shut off, or feeling a bit blocked up somewhere, to just blowing that completely open. So I guess really like the heart and the theme of this podcast episode that's coming out. I'm not sure if I've actually really recorded an episode quite as what I feel as messy as this, where I really didn't have guys, when I started this, I really didn't have the theme. I was like, I just know that I need to name what's happening. That's all I know. I've just got to name what's happening, and that's just going to take me through to whatever. And it's going to be kind of messy, but it's going to take me through it. And, the creative journey is messy. Like, it's messy. And you don't often get to see that because you see everyone's empowered, like polished output, but it's messy. I've had a very messy, it's not quite a month. We're on the 26th of Jan, but I've had a messy Jan in terms of like just having to drop all the structure, stop, breathe, not know. Sit in the not knowing, not forcing anything, not pushing anything, being in between places, moving into a temporary place, and having like quite depleted energy levels, and just like having to stop, let go, surrender, open myself up, and like let my energy come back to me, and let myself, just receive, be receptive, and, call back in my focus through that receptiveness, because I needed to balance my energy out with the massive output and kind of masculine energy output of the couple of months before that, and creating is a dance between masculine and feminine. And, the feminine is the no structure, it's the chaos, it's the um it's just the absolute, like, unlimited potential that can be channeled through structure, which is where that masculine energy is essential like, to creating anything. It's completely essential, and it's the dance between them that's essential. So yeah, I'm showing you this messy the messy creative process. And I guess the reason I really point that out, which I guess you wouldn't know, but it just feels significant to me, is because that is something that came out of my coaching like a year ago or so. Is that part of my role is to show women, the true messy creative process, because it is. It's not polished. No one no one is perfect and polished, even if they present themselves that way. No one is. Everyone has a human. Everyone is in this dance. Everyone's in a dance of the masculine and feminine, and everyone's in a dance of their higher self, their wholeness, their completeness, their full creative power, and their victim self, their limited ego, their dysfunction, their bullshit. Everyone. And, you might be occupying, like, more heavily in one direction. I'm not saying everyone's in balance with those things. Someone could be, like, really, like, flailing around in their victim. And, and even so, like, they have a connection to their higher self and their true higher power, even when they're spending 90% of their time or 95% of their time in their victim. Or, people that are living really powerfully and effectively and, really, like, got their shit together and in their power, and, it's just awesome. And you see that they're still got a percentage of their victim going on. They just know how to handle it, but it's still there. That there's no such thing as 100% in your power. And so stop thinking you need to be. You don't. Honestly, like, the biggest thing that I see fuck women up, like, just consistently. Like, I work so closely with a handful of women in my one-to-one coaching and also in my group coaching container, Feminine Mystery School. The thing that I see really fuck them up is when they're not feeling good, or they're not feeling like all powerful and like, yeah, I got this, let's go slay. They think something's wrong and they think they need to resolve and fix that, so that they can be powerful. And you don't. You just need to know how to be with yourself in the mess, not make it mean something, not identify with it. Because what everyone does by default, or most people, and, this is what I just really see people struggle with, is that they start making it mean something, and then they start spiraling, and then they're all caught up in their bullshit. But none of that had to happen, because you could, like, all you need to do is know that as you start, like, oh, maybe you're not, like, the pendulum. Okay, I'm not going to introduce too many things. Pendulum, another podcast episode. The thing to just know is that you will always come back into the feelings of your victim self. Always, especially after a high, after feeling good, after being on fire, creating, feeling like you're past all that bullshit that you used to go into in the past. You will go back into that bullshit from the past. And then if you identify with that, if you start making that mean something and, like, oh my God, I'm in the bullshit again. What am I going to do? This means that none of those things I've just been working on are going to come together, and I'm just going to be stuck here forever, and I'm never going to create what I want. I'm never going to become who I'm meant to be. I'm just going to live an ordinary life and die, and I just can't even be fucked doing that. That seems like the worst idea ever. Like, that is what derails you, not feeling your victim fucked upness. It's that you started getting upset about it, and thinking there was something wrong with it and thinking now that means you're super fucked up and you need to fix that first, when you don't. You just need to remember when you feel that victimhood and you feel like, oh, I'm incapable, I'm powerless, I'm invisible, I'm out of control, I'm defective, I'm not perfect, just listing all of the, a whole bunch of the flavors of how you feel, how you can feel a victim, and your sense of incompleteness. You feel all of that and you go, cool, that's my human. And that I'm still a powerful creator. I might feel like shit, might feel like ass. I'm still a powerful creator and I can create. And I just don't need to get fucked up about the fact that I feel like ass. I just feel like ass. Okay? So that's what's really important. That's what's really key. That's what gives you, honestly, starts giving you mastery over your consciousness, is that you just don't go into any sort of drama or spiral when you're feeling like ass and you're feeling your whole victim self activated and alight and on fire and just like consuming your perspective, that you just go, cool. Yep, my wounds are back and they're speaking to me. Actually, they never went anywhere. They're alight and activated. They just started glowing. They never went anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They just started glowing and they're firing off the alarm bells. Cool. Let me just, if there's something I need to do to address that, let me just address that. There's a bunch of tools that I teach around this that are insanely simple and insanely effective. And I go through most of them in my book, Be Unacceptable. Highly recommend that you read that book if you don't have it already. If you are a woman and you want to live like the life you're meant to live and, break out of the expectations and limitations that either you put on yourself or your society and family have put on you, or just the culture at large you've grown up with has placed on you, you gotta read that book. Like, this book is incredibly illuminating, and the second half of it is all these very simple, effective tools for being able to meet these parts of yourself that, you've gotten connected to your vision, you're out there, you're excited, and then bam, you've fucking smacked off your feet, you're on your face, you feel like you're going down a downward spiral. These are the things that can help you not go down with it and just be able to observe it and stay in your power, stay in your center, because that's what you get to do. You get to do. You don't have to feel good to create. And in fact, the thing that's going to have you feeling back in connection with yourself and your higher self and your power is that you recognize the things coming up for you, and then you still act in alignment with your higher nature. That's the thing. Like, you still just follow through on that, even if your brain is screaming at you, this is not going to work, no one's going to listen to you. Like, that's what will take you back into connection with yourself. And honestly, this actually relates to what I was talking about a little bit earlier about the follow through on your truth and, the principle of Satya. But also, I've also learned this through alchemy. It's just really interesting how it's presented in yogic philosophy as well, because obviously they understood this concept as well. But following through on what's true for you brings you back into alignment with yourself. That is alignment. Alignment is not feeling good. It's not how good you feel. Alignment is that you follow through on your truth and what is aligned and true for you. Not what not what the voice of not good enough is telling you, not what the voice of unworthy is telling you. If you collapse into what those voices are telling you to do, you will feel worse and worse because you will become more and more out of alignment with yourself. You know, like if your sense of unworthiness is like telling you to like run away and hide and retreat and not share anything and like, not launch your program, and you do that, you will feel more and more out of alignment with yourself because you have collapsed into the behavior that is not following through on your truth anymore. The more that you, even if you feel, I've got this slogan, I guess, that I've been saying for quite a few years. Actually, in one of the chapters in my book, Be Unacceptable, is called this, which is feel unworthy and do it anyway. Feel unworthy and do it anyway. If you collapse into whatever the voice of feeling unworthy is telling you to do, you will feel more and more unworthy. And it will just compound and it will just build, right? If you can feel unworthy and do it anyway, so you feel unworthy, but you follow through on your true action, the feeling of unworthiness will slide off because you will bring yourself back in alignment with yourself. It might not be immediate, but it will happen. And you will feel unworthy again. You just will, so stop fighting that and stop thinking that means anything about you or that you're doing anything wrong at all. You're not doing anything wrong. If you're getting stuck in your head, if you're feeling unworthy, if you're feeling not good enough, you're feeling behind, you feel you're failing at everything, you're not doing anything wrong. All you have to do is snap yourself out of the illusion of believing any of those things and simply go, what is my truth right now? If I assumed myself to be the person I connect with as my higher self or my true nature and purpose, what would I do? What would be my true obvious action? And you just do that, right? I have not been feeling like making content. Actually, last week I had just had a lot of coaching sessions and I was signing the contract for my house and I just needed to like stop and just outside of that and just be with myself. And I knew though today, like I just knew it's my truth. Like I've got a whole day on Monday to create content. I'm going to create content. And, and then seeing all of these kind of egoic like cords that had been sent out that were like pulling me in different directions as I was going to get started today, and to just like keep letting them fall away and fall away. Like, why isn't this flowing? Like, what am I getting hung up on? What am I preoccupied with? What am I truly focused on? And like, am I in my heart and speaking from my heart? And if I'm not, what's in my heart and what's alive in my heart? Because that's always going to open up the flow and take me forward in whatever I'm sharing. And so with my reels that I did a bit earlier, I actually wrote down a whole bunch of topics that I thought were all things that I wanted to talk about. And then as I went to record them, I just realized like, I just can't get into these ones. They just don't feel really alive in me. And then I was just like, okay, well, what is really alive in me? What would I really want to say like to the woman that I'm serving? And I just spoke them, and I think maybe 2 of them were from the list I wrote, and then the other ones that just came to me, and I just recorded them because that's where the energy truly was for me. When I was just alive and attuned to where the energy really is, because the energy really is somewhere. And if you're feeling stuck, you're not letting yourself go where the energy actually is. You're judging it. You're thinking, oh, but that doesn't fit in my perfect strategy or in my perfect box, so I'm not going to go there and I'm going to try to force this. And then it all becomes forced and contrived. Nothing flows from that space. Like, you don't create compelling things, and also it just feels hard. You had to push for it. You're pushing against yourself. You're pushing against your nature, and then it's depleting and burns you out, and then you want to avoid working, right? Because it feels so actually misaligned, but it's because you're trying to force yourself to do things that are not true for you to do. Or yeah, you're compensating, which is, I mean, this ends up in the same thing. You're forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. You're trying to force yourself to be a certain way or only show certain sides of yourself. And honestly, it just doesn't work. Like, how's that been working out for you? Probably not that great. So I feel like really the main themes from this, wow, I'm just looking at the time for the first time. I can't believe I'm just like an hour episode doing this. All right. The main themes from this episode are, if you're stuck in your head and you're stuck, you're not going with what's obvious and what's alive. So if you just put all of that down, what's truly alive and obvious? What are you really feeling? What's really going on for you? And start there, because you have to start with what's real and authentic to open into like true expression and true flow, right? Not to say you've got to record a full messy podcast episode like this, but you might, and it's okay if you do. So that's number one. The second thing is follow through on your truth. You've just got to follow through. You've just got to follow through. Follow through. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't know what the reward's going to be, but you got to follow through. And the more you follow through, the more that will just keep coming together for you, and the more momentum that you will build in the direction that you're going in. So ask yourself, what haven't I, just be honest, just with a completely clean slate, fresh mind, what haven't I been following through on? And decide to follow through on that's what you're going to do today, this week, after you get home, after listening to this episode. I think they're the main things. I mean, maybe there's more points, but honestly, my thoughts aren't really collecting in this moment. So I'm going to leave that there. I hope you got something from this just messy download of my first podcast episode back in Jan 2026. And oh my God, I'm just so excited to move into my new place next week. And I know that my structure and rhythm is just going to come back then. And I'm just sitting in this little uncomfortable kind of pocket of, okay, I don't know. And I'm letting it come together and be obvious and be revealed. And that's all part of the process of receiving and allowing and creating. All right. I hope you got something from this episode. I'm sending you so much love. And if you did get something from this episode, I'd really love to hear about it. That would really support my process, actually, of what I share with you guys and how I share things with you. And otherwise, I will see you in the next episode. Oh, and if you haven't already seen my vlog, go over to my YouTube and go and watch my vlog of my book launch. That's my first vlog that I released last week. I'm going to release another one this week of my reflections of launching my book. And then I've got a couple more coming up of landing back in Bali, finding a new place in Bali, and having my birthday in Bali. All right, lots of love, beauty, and I'll speak to you soon.